Do you want to hear the truth? You are not special. The world doesn't care about you. No one is staying awake for your dreams. No one is crying over your failures. You will fall, and the world will move on. You will lose, and no one will even notice. You will stop, and no one will ask why. And that truth breaks you. But that same truth can also build you. Because in this world, there are two kinds of people. First, those who treat their wounds as fate and sit down. Second, those who turn their wounds into fuel. What's the difference? Ego. Yes, the same ego you were told since childhood was bad, called pride, called sin, told to suppress. But the truth is, if you don't have the right kind of ego, you'll get lost in a crowd. And if your ego is uncontrolled, you'll burn yourself. In today's audiobook, we won't decorate ego. We'll dissect it. We'll understand it and turn it into a weapon. Chapter 1. The lie you were sold. You were sold a lie. Since childhood, in school, at home, in society, you were told, be humble, don't be proud, everyone is equal. But no one told you the world is not equal. It runs on hierarchy. The topper in class gets more attention. The one who produces results at work gets promoted. The one who looks confident is heard. You were told to stay quiet, but the world rewards bold people. You were trained to be average. Don't think too big. Don't dream too big. Be happy with what you have. Slowly you learn to shrink yourself, your voice, your desires, your standards, and you called it contentment. But deep down you know you want more. More money, more power, more respect, more influence. And whenever you want more, you're made to feel guilty. Why? Because society is made of average people, and average people fear extraordinary ones.
If you rise, they see their own mediocrity. So you were taught to dim your fire. But the truth is, if you don't have a healthy ego, you won't stand up for yourself. What is ego? Ego is, I deserve better than this. Ego is, I will not quit. Ego is, don't underestimate me. This isn't arrogance. It's the raw form of self-respect. The problem isn't ego. The problem is uncontrolled ego. Too little ego and you'll be crushed. Too much and you'll be alone. Balanced, powerful ego makes you unstoppable. Remember, the value the world gives you is the value you give yourself. If you see yourself as small, people treat you small. If you see yourself strong, people stay careful. Humans instinctively understand dominance. When you walk into a room confidently, people notice. When you speak firmly, people listen. When you doubt yourself, people ignore you. The lie you were sold was, suppress your desires. But the truth is your ambition is not a crime. Your hunger is not a mistake. Your dream to become great is not a weakness. If you want to win, you must internally believe you deserve to win, and that is ego. But listen, this chapter isn't to inflate your ego. It's to awaken it. Because if there's no spark inside you, how will there be fire? From today, stop hiding your desire. Don't underestimate your capability. And most importantly, don't shrink your ambition for someone else's comfort. You are not born to be average. The system made you comfortable. But comfort never creates greatness. Greatness always comes from friction, and friction begins when your ego says, I'm better than this. But the next question is, if ego is so powerful, why are people afraid of it? That's what we break in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Ego is not the enemy. You were always told, let go of ego. But no one told you if you completely let go of ego, what will remain? Think. If it doesn't matter to you how people treat you, why would you rise? If it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, why would you try? Ego is the voice that says, don't underestimate me. Ego is the fire that says I could do more. The problem isn't ego. The problem is people don't understand it. They see ego in extremes. Either crush it completely or let it run wild. Both are wrong. Suppress ego and you'll live by others' wishes. Let it run loose and you'll lose relationships, opportunities, and balance. Train it, and it becomes your weapon. Ego isn't the enemy. Untrained ego is. Like a wild horse. Leave it loose, it throws you. Tie it up, it's useless. Train it, it takes you to victory. Weak people fear ego because they can't handle it. Strong people shape it. The right form of ego is self-respect. The wrong form is self-obsession. Self-respect says, I won't go below my standards. Self-obsession says, I can never be wrong. The difference is subtle, but life-changing. Don't destroy ego. Discipline it. If you break at every criticism, your ego is weak. If you ignore every criticism, your ego is blind. A strong ego listens, analyzes, keeps what's true, discards the rest. That is maturity. People who dominate the world have balanced egos. They know who they are. They don't beg for validation. They aren't addicted to approval. And that is real power. Someone hungry for approval can never be a leader, because leaders must make unpopular decisions. If your ego depends on others' opinions, you're controlled. If it's anchored internally, you're stable. And stability is the root of dominance. Here's a brutal truth. People respect you only as much as you respect yourself. If you don't set boundaries, people will use you. If you always say it's okay, people won't take you seriously. Healthy ego builds boundaries. Weak ego keeps compromising. Strong ego sets standards. Standards are uncomfortable. People will call you arrogant, selfish, egotistical. But when you grow, average people feel uncomfortable because your growth exposes their stagnation. So don't fear ego. Fear the version of yourself that lives thinking it's small. Underconfidence kills potential. Overconfidence kills credibility. Balance is rare, and rarity creates value. You need an ego that is silent but powerful, that doesn't try to prove but performs, that isn't loud but undeniable. Properly used ego makes you dangerous, not violent but unshakable. You can't be manipulated. You're not controlled by guilt. You don't burn in comparison. You stay focused. And focus is the edge. But here's a trap. Many people justify insecurity in the name of ego. They become loud, show off, seek validation. That isn't ego. That's fear. Real ego is calm, like a lion. Its presence is enough. Presence comes from self-work, skill, discipline, results. Empty ego is fragile. Earned ego is solid. So if your ego is fragile right now, don't inflate it. Build it. Work. Improve. Win. Then you won't need to be loud. The world will notice. Remember, ego isn't the enemy. Ignorance is. Understand it, train it, control it. Because if you don't control it, it will control you. When ego controls you, you live in reaction. When you control ego, you live in intention, and intention is mastery. Chapter 3. The Weak Man's Humility. Humility. The word brings an image. Lowered head, soft voice, someone saying it's fine. We're taught that's good. But ask yourself, is that truly humility or fear? True humility and weak man humility are worlds apart. Weak humility isn't a choice, it's survival. He bends because he lacks strength to stand. He stays silent because he fears rejection. He agrees because he fears conflict. That's not humility. That's fear wearing a moral mask, and society calls it virtue. Weak humility makes you invisible. You're in the room, but unnoticed. In a meeting, but not deciding. In the relationship, but not directing. Slowly, your identity erodes. You adjust until you lose yourself. Here's the brutal truth. If you can't stand up for yourself, no one else will. Respect doesn't come from sympathy. It comes from strength. People think if they're assertive, they'll become arrogant. Wrong. Assertiveness isn't aggression. It's clarity. Clarity about what you accept, what you tolerate, what your standards are. Weak humility dissolves standards. Strong humility defines them. Strong people are humble because they don't need to prove anything. Weak people are humble because they fear exposure. Strong humility has silence with presence. Weak humility has silence with disappearance. And disappearance never leads to dominance. You've seen people who speak little, but when they speak, the whole room listens. Why? Because their humility is earned. They've worked, produced results, built themselves. They don't need to be loud. But if you haven't built yourself yet, and you're just acting humble, you're cheating yourself. Humility is powerful only when you have the option to be arrogant. If you have the power to dominate yet choose calmness, that's strength. If you lack power and say you're not interested, that's coping. Many people rename failure as spirituality. I don't want money. I don't like competition. I want a simple life. Ask honestly, is that choice or incapability? Ego pushes you forward. Humility keeps you grounded. But if grounding is so heavy you can't rise, it's weight, not balance. You need both: fire and control, ambition and awareness, dominance and discipline. Weak men use humility as a shield to hide. Strong men use humility as armor to advance. Which will you be? Another brutal point. If you're always nice, people will use you. Nice and kind are different. Nice seeks approval. Kind gives respect with standards. Nice breaks boundaries, so people stay happy. Kind builds boundaries, so respect remains. Weak humility makes you nice. Strong humility makes you kind. Leadership isn't built from nice, it's built from clarity. If you want dominance, you must accept discomfort. You must say no. Break expectations. Sometimes stand alone. Weak humility can't do that. You don't need to be loud, aggressive, or toxic. You need to be stable. A stable person isn't shaken by insults or inflated by praise. Grounded, but not invisible. That balance is rare, and rarity is power. Pain creates identity. You are who you are not because of comfort, but because of pain. Your confidence came after rejection. Your maturity came after betrayal. Your ambition woke after insult. Pain can destroy or can design. The difference is how you use it. Most people run from pain. They seek distraction, entertainment, validation. But some observe pain, analyze it, remember it, and turn it into fuel. That's where identity forms. You remember that insult when someone said you couldn't do it. You remember that rejection when you were replaced. You remember that moment you felt small. The question isn't why that moment happened. The question is what meaning you gave it. Weak people treat pain as a personal attack. Strong people treat pain as information. Information about where to improve, where to get stronger, where to raise standards. Pain gives two paths: become a victim or become a weapon. Victim mindset says, why me? Weapon mindset says, watch me. Pain shapes ego. If you run from pain, your ego stays fragile. If you absorb pain, your ego becomes steel. Steel requires heat, and heat never comes from comfort. Your identity changes the day you decide, no more. I won't feel small. I won't be underestimated. I won't stay average. That's the birth point of real ego. But here's a danger. If you don't heal pain and only turn it into anger, you become toxic. Unhealed pain creates arrogance. Healed pain creates confidence. One reacts. The other strategizes. When you're broken inside, you explode at small things. When you're healed, you observe. Silence is dangerous when it comes from clarity. Your pain is your story, but it's not your permanent label. You decide whether it defines you or refines you. Define means, I am this way because this happened. Refine means, this happened, so I became better. Strong people don't repeat their pain story. They repeat results. They train, learn skills, work late, take uncomfortable decisions because they remember that feeling, that insult, that rejection, that emptiness. Don't forget pain, but don't worship it. Store it like a battery. When motivation is zero, remember pain. When doubt comes, remember pain. When laziness comes, remember pain. But don't live in revenge mode. Revenge gives short-term energy. Self-growth gives long-term power. Your goal shouldn't be to prove something to someone. Your goal should be to evolve yourself. When you evolve, proof happens automatically. Pain can make you emotional or disciplined. Choice is yours. Brutal truth. If there's no pain in your life right now, maybe you're not taking risks. Growth comes from friction. Comfort gives stagnation, and stagnation slowly kills identity. You can stay safe or become sharp. Not both. Face pain. Write it. Channel it. Each time life hits you, don't break, absorb, reshape, become stronger. Your identity isn't built from your words, but your scars. Scars aren't shame. They're proof you survived. But survival isn't enough. Now it's time for dominance. Chapter 5. Comparison is fuel. You can't escape comparison. People say don't compare yourself to others. It sounds nice, but the real world doesn't work that way. School, work, business, social media, hierarchy is everywhere. Those who run from it often stay at the bottom. Truth. Comparison is poison and power. The difference is how you process it. Weak mindsets break when they see someone ahead. They think he's better, I'm behind, and either become jealous or give up. Strong mindsets analyze. What does he have that I don't? What did he do differently? What can I learn? Comparison creates insecurity if your ego is fragile. It creates hunger if your ego is trained. Jealousy isn't wrong. It's information. It tells you want that level too. The problem isn't jealousy. It's lack of direction. When you see someone succeed and feel envy, you have two options. Criticize them and blame luck or the system, or silently accept, I want that too, and start working. Use comparison as fuel. But don't become obsessed, or you'll become a copy. Compete, but don't clone. Competition sharpens you. Copying erases you. Real dominance comes when you use benchmarks, but keep your identity. Social media has intensified comparison. Every day you see someone richer, fitter, more popular. If your ego is weak, it crushes you. If your ego is stable, it pushes you. Compare upward, not downward. Downward comparison gives comfort. I'm better than him. Dangerous, because comfort stops progress. Upward comparison is uncomfortable. I still have work to do, but discomfort creates growth. Another brutal truth. Not everyone reaches the top, because not everyone can handle the heat of comparison. Competition exposes you, your weaknesses, your limits. Weak ego breaks when it sees limits. Strong ego starts training. Comparison shows where you stand, but direction is your choice. Either be a victim or a competitor. Competitors aren't threatened by others' wins. They quietly increase intensity. No drama, no hot, just execution. Comparison is unavoidable, so master it. Your real fight isn't with another person. It's with your previous version. If you improve a little every day, long-term you win. If you stay comfortable, you slowly become irrelevant. Relevance demands fight, and fight requires comparison. So from today, when you see comparison, don't shrink. Stand tall.